Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Addison typed it into the chat, and then M typed it into the chat. Oh my gosh, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I got this. All right, folks. Mutually assured destruction. Understand what it is. Pick slide 36 because I really like the concept, folks, of you being able to tow a nuclear warhead beside a semi truck and deploy it in the field. This is nuclear proliferation. Talk, duck, and cover. We talked about bomb shelters a little bit. You should ask your grandparents if they have a bomb shelter in their house. Some of them probably do. Look at 39, slide 39. Slide 39. Those are all nuclear weapons in the Bay Area. The map, bottom right corner, is actually the sites. Those are the Nike missile sites, folks. If you've ever hiked in the Marin Headlands, you've hiked right past those stations where those nuclear warheads were placed. Mount Tamalpais, if you guys have ever been up to the top of Mount Tamalpais, that's a giant radio coordinating site. Jack Walsh says they do tours. You're totally right, Jack. They open it up to the public. If you want extra credit, go to the tour, do a little video documentary of it, prove to me that you went on it. I will give you extra credit. You can find out about that on the National Park Service's website. They do it at the Marin Headlands. They do it like one Saturday a month. All these old military veterans, they open up the nuclear silo for you. All of that shit still works. There's obviously no warhead on it, but it's really, really cool to check out. So I really encourage you to do that, folks, if you want some extra credit. And it's the Nike missile site. Those missiles, I don't know what the acronym Nike stands for, but those are called the Nike missile sites. It's part of our nuclear defense systems we're preparing for. If you think living in the world of the coronavirus is kind of gnarly and scary, I mean, imagine living in a world where Angel Island, Treasure Island, Mount Burdell, China Camp all have to have nuclear weapons stationed on them. You know, I don't have to do a whole lot more today, folks. We're only going to do like 2 or 3 more slides. Look at 41. It's just a vocabulary term that I hope you know. 41. It's really easy to understand. Remember what the Truman Doctrine is. The Truman Doctrine is a speech in 1947 where Harry Truman says, we're going to defend free people wherever they're resisting communism around the world. And he says it in the context of helping out Greece and Turkey, and that's in 1947. Both Greece and Turkey are resisting communism in 47. Truman says, we're going to support you wherever you are around the world if you're resisting this. Eisenhower is going to double down on this, folks. This is not that difficult of a concept, but I'm just helping you understand that the 3 presidents we have after World War II, Truman, Eisenhower, and Kennedy, they are all going to apply the same type of containment doctrine. Eisenhower is going to have his own type of Truman doctrine. It's called the Eisenhower Doctrine. It's not that important of a vocabulary term, but what it helps you understand is continuity within presidential policies. Guys, that's the line they would like to see on the AP test. They would love it if you said, there is continuity within the foreign policies of our presidents amongst both political parties. We're going to see this idea of containment portrayed in the Truman Doctrine, portrayed in the Eisenhower Doctrine, continued under President Kennedy in Vietnam. They love to see you make those connections in AP US history. That's what it's all about, folks. It's not being an expert in any single one of those things, but it's about knowing what they are and seeing the connections across the periods. That's what it is. The Truman Doctrine, folks, this is about getting involved in the Middle East. He's going to help a monarch, a dude named King Hussein in Jordan, resist a communist takeover. It's a monarch. I mean, it's not a democracy over there in Jordan. I'm not trying to criticize the country of Jordan or anything like that. I'm just simply trying to illustrate to you how committed to resisting communism we are. We're going to prop up a monarchy in the Middle East if it means that that country will not turn communist. And I don't know anything about the monarchy of King Hussein in Jordan. I have not studied the topic whatsoever. Just trying to throw the examples out there. We are that Middle Eastern one though, folks, is I think there's a little bit of oil greed in there. I'm just trying to show you patterns within American foreign policy. Next slide is one of my favorite examples for the Cold War, and it's going to be really important in a few chapters. Freeways. We've talked about freeways before. Guys, freeways are constructed in the 1950s under the auspice of civil defense. They're actually called, guys, our highway. It's called the National Highways Defense Act. And it's a really important piece of legislation because what it does is it ultimately allows the suburbs to grow. The idea behind freeways is simple. If there's a nuclear attack, not only are people going to die in the attack, we're going to be stuck because our roads are old. They're based on 1920s traffic patterns, and no one's going to be able to get out of any town. We don't have any arterial highways. People can't get out. We won't be able to get troops in. We won't be able to get disaster workers in. We won't be able to get relief supplies in anywhere because roads will simply be clogged. We must have arterial highways to get people in and to get people out. That's what is sold to Congress, guys. That's the reason they agree to fund the highway system. It's a multi-billion-dollar project, guys. Imagine building all these map down there. You guys have driven on these freeways countless times. Anytime you've ever driven to Southern California, although our Highway 101 isn't part of that program, Highway 101 exists before that. All of the arterial freeways across the country, guys, are built in this era. Not only are the freeways rebuilt, we rebuild a lot of local frontage roads, on and off ramps as well. Whole towns are remade because of this, guys. I love cars. You guys know I love Cars 1. Give me some Cars 1 love. It's a silly example, guys, but not all, and this is not really the Cold War example, guys, but the highways are going to have purposes besides just evacuating cities. Be aware that we never really are going to use our highways to evacuate our cities because we've never really had the need to. We've never experienced a nuclear attack or a need for a mass evacuation like that. But what they're going to do, and this is really part of next chapter, they're going to allow outer development in the suburbs, guys. Freeways take you away from the city, but still allow you to work in the city. Guys, the freeways allow your parents to work in Nevada, but work in San Francisco. Understand the purpose of freeways and understand the consequences. The purpose, again, is for civil defense, but it also is going to have the consequence of allowing outer suburbanization. And we'll talk much more about suburbanization, guys, next week, but you know what it is. People are going to flee the cities, oftentimes is associated with white flight. But I understand it. If I could have a yard with a place to have my dog run and a place to park my car with low crime, I don't know, it sounds pretty nice to me if I could afford it. I'm not saying cities are better than suburbs or anything like that, vice versa. You can come to that conclusion yourself, but understand why people move to the suburbs. I've now got the freeway. I'm middle class. I've got disposable income. I'm out of here. That's really coming up next chapter. Freeways. That's the beginning of the story right now. I'm not going to introduce anything else for this chapter, folks. That's it. So what I'm going to do is do like a 7-minute recap and then take any questions. So let's kind of really quickly go back to the beginning of the slideshow. Just highlight the important vocab real quick. We'll try to go through this in like 5 minutes. Highlighting the important vocab. Remember, folks. Yeah, Dre?
Because that one time when you YouTube live streamed the first day, I didn't hear anything from it. So yeah, that would be nice if we could review a little bit.
I'll try and go through it as quickly as I can there, guys. So again, 1945, the Cold War is starting, folks. Many people say this war started before the World War II is even over. So we don't tell Stalin about the nuclear bomb, and the seeds of suspicion have been sown. You got to understand, containment is the policy that we pursue. You need to know military containment. Someone yell out an example of military containment, please.
Korea.
Thank you.
Oh.
Even though we didn't talk about Vietnam yet, you know that's coming up. Vietnam.
What about, like, the Berlin airdrop thing?
You could argue that that's military containment, or you could also argue, Dre, that that's financial containment or economic containment. The other form I want you to know is economic, the Marshall Plan or the Berlin Airlift. Remember the Marshall Plan, folks, the massive public works projects for Europe, and also the rebuilding of their agricultural sector. And then finally, really domestic containment or political containment, hunting communisms, the House Un-American Activities Committee, Joseph McCarthy, loyalty securities programs. So not only do you have to know, guys, my regular class, my 5th period class, they know what containment is. They can say, we're containing communism. Great. You got to be so much more specific than that. Do not just tell me we're containing communism. Tell me we're containing communism in multiple ways, and say part of the reason why the hysteria is so great is because there are legitimate communist spies out there like the Rosenbergs. Even though it's not as big of a threat as they want you to think, guys, that's how you show deep analysis. That's how you show you really, truly know the topic. My 5th period knows containment, but they can't tell me hardly any examples of it, certainly not with any depth. You've got to be able to show me depth. Again, now I feel like I'm shitting on my 5th period, which I'm not trying to. I'm just meaning the expectations are much higher for you guys. You've got to be able to explain examples of McCarthyism, all part of that. Containment. The important documents, guys, are Truman Doctrine, NSC 68. All of this is on your quiz. Some of you have probably already taken it, but if you haven't, if you log on right after this lecture is done, you will see NSC 68 on your quiz. You will see Loyalty Security Program on your quiz. You will see Joseph McCarthy on the quiz. You will see Truman Doctrine on the quiz. You will see Marshall Plan on the quiz. The Cuban Missile Crisis question on there, and I didn't really talk about that so much, but it's really easy if you understand the source. You can answer those Cuban Missile Crisis questions even without really having any lecture on it, but you should probably read the small section in the textbook on it. If you have a question on the Cuban Missile Crisis, I'm happy to answer it. Nothing you'll be writing an essay on or anything like that, but again, understand the Cuban Missile Crisis, folks, is the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. I don't really talk about it in this chapter. I talk about it, well, I probably should be included in this chapter, but it shows you why College Board's kind of dumb. They don't really test on that, and it's an unbelievably important event. It's the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. But you can totally write this Cold War essay, folks, without even mentioning the Cuban Missile Crisis. Addison has a comment. It says, Addison, space race is also important, but I talk about it next week. Space race is totally important. You could argue, Addison, that the space race is a form of containment as well, because when the Soviets launched Sputnik, we immediately pumped billions of dollars into things like NASA. So you could say, Addison, that the space race is a form of containment. That actually makes into the lecture next week when we talk more about 1950s culture, but arguably that topic should be included in this. So I'm really glad you brought that up, Addison. I will definitely talk more about that next week. But understand that if you're talking containment, absolutely. Containing communism by funding scientific and space exploration and research. Soviets ain't getting to the moon. Great one, Addison. I'm really glad you chimed in with that. So, guys, if you were asked, what does the Cuban Missile Crisis signify? It's really simple. Oh, that's the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. This really shows you, because we're engaging in brinksmanship. You guys know what playing a game of chicken is? Hopefully you know what playing a game of chicken is. We're literally playing a game of chicken with the Soviet Union. And when you play chicken with nuclear weapons, you get shit like the Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm not going to go through and explain the entire Cuban Missile Crisis because it's a really long and complex topic. You can read the paragraph in your textbook. I'll get you in 15 seconds, Dre. You can read the paragraph in your textbook. There's lots of Hollywood movies on it. You can watch the summary. Guys, you don't have to know all the individual details of the Cuban Missile Crisis. But you need to understand it's the closest we've ever come to nuclear war. And it's really a consequence of this brinkmanship, this playing chicken, this consequence of nuclear proliferation. That's what I've got to say on it. Dre.
I was just going to ask, is like immigration from Europe highly regulated at this time? Like were people,
yes.
were they concerned about communists coming from Europe or anything?
Dre, we have the same immigration law in the book since 1924. Okay. So immigration is still very, very low in the 1950s. It's not until the mid-60s when we change all those immigration quotas and start allowing large numbers of people in. So to answer your question, yes, immigration from 1924 till 1964 is incredibly low. Not only from around the world, but specifically from Eastern European countries where communists live and communists originate from. Okay. Great question. That immigration law is still on the books, still targeting the same type of undesirables. We have, though, however, started to we do start changing our Asian immigration laws right after World War II. We don't have the same exclusionary laws for Asians after World War II that we do before that. Good question. I don't think this topic's too hard, guys. You need to know lots and lots of examples of containment and the impact of the Cold War on us domestically. If I say domestically, I mean economically, military-industrial complex. I mean buildup of nuclear weapons. I mean mass hysteria of communism, House Un-American Activities trials. I mean loyalty security programs, investigating potential communists in our government. That's really it. There's so many details in this chapter, you don't have to know them all. If you know like 4 or 5 details related to the U.S. and the Cold War and like 4 or 5 examples of containment, I promise you're going to be fine. But again, guys, the vocab that is on your test, and hopefully you go right from this lecture to taking the test, NSC 68 is on there. Loyalty Security Program is on there. McCarthyism is on there. the phrase mutually assured destruction's on there. I think I covered everything I wanted to, and I think I've spit out the vocabulary that I'm going to throw at you on the quiz. I think most of you guys will think it's pretty easy. Timing might be an issue. There's 14 multiple choice questions and one short answer. So if time ends up screwing people over, I'll just waive the time limit or adjust it somehow. That's all the content I have. I'll keep the stream open and I'll keep taking questions. You want to ask anything on the learning targets, I'm happy to address that. If you have any vocabulary questions you want me to define, happy to do that for you. We are at the 10 o'clock hour. I'll keep recording this, but in terms of the lecture and content delivery, I'm done. Now you guys ask me questions if you've got them. Odie, the learning targets are all on my website, always, the whole year. Yeah, this chapter, next chapter, all of them. What else we got, folks? Oh, look, there's a bunch of comments that I didn't even see. Oh, but they're about dogs and things mostly. Okay. Again, didn't have a lot of content to deliver. What else, folks, do we need? Anything?
Are you still grading the test? Or is it going to be all like computer graded?
The computer grades the multiple choice, I grade your short answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually do read your short answer.
No, but for the AP test.
Oh, I don't have any clue. I won't be grading them.
Okay.
I'm not going to Tampa anymore.
Okay.
What else do we got, folks? What else can I help you with? What else can I make clear?
Wouldn't you be able to grade them from home because they're online then?
Maybe, Annabelle. I just know I'm not going to Tampa, but it could be that they're going to send me, a flash drive with like 1,000 essays on them and still pay me to grade them from home. In fact, you're probably right. They probably will still do that. I hadn't actually considered that. I just knew that I wasn't going to Tampa to do that grading anymore. But that is probably what will happen, frankly. Olivia says, is it okay if you take your test after 3? Yes, I'm assuming it's because you have something else going on, and that's okay, Olivia, but I would really like it if you could get it in today. So can you please, can you take it today? Liv Page? OFC? Does that mean of course?
Of course.
Okay, yeah, you can take it whatever time works for you today. I just don't want people to like wait a week. Frankly, Olivia, I don't even care if people took this on Saturday. I just don't want it to like when I put this in on Monday, I just want them all in there. I don't want it to drag into next week. It's my only concern.
Look at my cat.
I got my tiles messed up, and there we go. There's your cat. People got good cats. I think Em signed off, but she's got good cats. Grace, is that your puppy back there?
Yeah, this is Selkie. She's sleeping.
Oh my goodness, little sleeper.
Do you guys want to see my bunny? Yes.
Hi, Haley Mellon.
I want to see your bunny.
Hey, my girlfriend Haley joined the chat.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
So what else, guys? We clear on the AP test. We clear on everything. What's been the worst part of online? What's been the worst part of the online learning so far?
I didn't realize you were doing lectures until like yesterday.
Oh.
It's like harder keeping on top of everything because it's like online. So like it's easy to like miss a due date or something by like a minute or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just guys, that I'll be flexible with you if like none of my stuff is due to the minute. So just communicate if you need an extension or communicate if you need an accommodation. I'm happy to help you out. But hopefully mine's pretty straightforward. 1 reading notes a week, 1 quiz a week. So I hope you do all the reading, of course, but in terms of what's actually due. What's up, Dre?
Oh, I was just going to say, for some reason, I feel like I have way more work than I did before.
Right? I have so
Same.
Yeah.
I think teachers are assigning too much.
Yeah, but like some of my teachers have like certain due dates for things, but then other teachers are just like, oh, like do it whenever. And so I'm just going to procrastinate until it's like legitimately due, and then
Are a lot of your teachers putting daily stuff? Oh, look is that your bunny? Oh my gosh, Olivia, that is so funny. Look at
Wait,
his
I want to see.
Oh.
Look at Olivia's bunny. I think that teachers should not be posting things for you guys every day. I think the teachers should probably identify 2 or 3 hours of work for the week and put it on there on like Sunday or Monday.
Well, like,
I was talking with Jason, and he said some of the feedback that kids give him is like, well, 2 of my teachers post something at 8 and I do that. And then another teacher posts something at 11 and I do that. And then I think I'm done. And then some other teacher posts something at 2. So I never know when I'm done. And everyone's just posting shit randomly all day.
yeah, well, everyone does like check-ins. Like they'll like do like work just to make sure that we're like still doing stuff in their class. But like a lot of it sometimes isn't exactly like helpful or like useful. So it's just like a lot of